Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the moon in the 12th house in the natal chart. Now, some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the moon placements in the houses. They were a little bit concise. Some people may have referred to them as snappy. So what I decided to do is make another series on them, in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing up is, well, the moon in the 12th house is comparable to the moon in Pisces, but naturally you've got to blend in the zodiac sign. With it, moon in Taurus in the 12th house may be a lot different than the moon in Aquarius in the 12th house. As an example, the moon in the 12th house, the emotions may be a little bit chaotic, but if you have Taurus in there, moon and Taurus, that may help stabilize and ground them a little bit more. Now, as an example, now first off, well, or second off, or whatever, what have you, moon is connected with our emotional needs. So, the moon in the 12th house, the emotional needs may be tied into isolation, solitude, seclusion. It could be helping, the less fortunate, which would include the hungry, the oppressed, the impoverished, the homeless. It could be doing things connected to metaphysical, which includes astrology, or doing something with poetry or dancing, photography, 12th house field in general. It could be matters with sacrificing, expressing altruism, using the imagination. Excuse me. Now, the moon naturally is also connected with our emotions. So the moon in the 12th house, as I was stating before, the emotions may be a little bit chaotic or convoluted. They may be sometimes nebulous or unclear. It might not be. There might be confusion on, why you might be feeling a certain way at times, or why you may have emotionally responded in a certain way at times as well. The emotions may be a little bit confounding, and also, the emotions may be expressed more in isolation, in solitude, seclusion. You may feel somewhat inhibited in expressing emotions at times. They may be suppressed. You might, not feel, emotions may be there, but you might feel somewhat inhibited in expressing them at times. And the thing about this too, and the emotions also may be expressed strongly with an aunt or uncle, or someone that is in a less fortunate situation. And it could be somebody that may be imprisoned or incarcerated. It's also you might become more emotional over matters connected with limitations, restrictions, and your fears, your secret sorrows, matters that are pertaining to the self-undoing as well. Now, the moon in astrology is also associated, with our, you could say, responses and reactions. So the moon positive in the 12th house, well, those emotions, those responses and reactions at times may be unclear, may be somewhat nebulous. You may be more responsive in matters pertaining to the less fortunate, the imprisoned, an aunt or an uncle. Um, but you might feel, somewhat limited. There may be more fear or apprehension in terms of responding to things more so than the average person. There may be confusion in terms of how to respond to certain matters. You may often respond to things by, the expression of sacrifice, altruism, forgiveness, expressions of compassion, as some examples. The moon in astrology is also associated with the mother and family. So, the mother and family, there may be some limitations and restrictions in connection with this. The mother and family may be tied in to matters associated with secret sorrows, your fears. They may figure prominently in you dealing with your fears, with matters with restrictions and limitations. It could also be, matters that are behind the scenes, that are done in solitude and seclusion, hidden. Um, But at the same time, keep in mind that the 12th house, takes on, Pisces undercurrents and overtones. So the mother and family may also be, they may be somewhat mediumistic or intuitive, but at the same time may be deceptive, duplicitous, nebulous, and unclear as well. Now, another thing about the moon is that it's connected with the public. So when you have the moon positive in the 12th house in the natal chart, you may be tied to just doing something associated with the public, connected with illusion, such as working as a magician or special effects as well. There may be public recognition doing something with that. Also, there may be limitations and restrictions in terms of dealing with the public. The public may be tied in to secret sorrows. Um, the thing is, if by any chance, if you're involved in some clandestine affair, that has a greater chance of going public. The things that you may try to keep hidden, that are suppressed, that you don't want to come out, that may have a better chance of going public as well. And also too, or it could be doing something like in a 12th house profession, such as, again, the metaphysical, which includes astrology, or doing some work, anesthesiology, poetry, dancing, photography, chemistry, some examples. Also too, you may be dealing with, this placement may indicate fluctuations in one's dreams that he or she wants to attain, the fantasies that they want to obtain at some point in their life. Well, the moon in astrology is also associated with the unconscious side of the person. So the moon in the 12th house may often express that unconscious side with an aunt, with an uncle, with people that are less fortunate than oneself. It could be where that unconscious side of the person may come out more privately, with people that are prominent in one's private life. It could be, the unconscious side, may be somewhat reclusive as well. They may be drawn, toward doing things, behind the scenes in private. There may be a more, because again, the 12th house can give Pisces, overtones and undercurrents. The moon in the 12th house may reflect, as far as the unconscious side, being more passive, compassionate, altruistic, forgiving, and sacrificing. As some examples, you may be drawn to a 12th house field, which can include, again, like chemistry, poetry, photography, dancing, boating, fishing, as some examples. The moon in astrology is also tied into our memories. It can show what we often, reflect and reminisce about. So the moon in the 12th house, may often, reminisce about, have memories connected with solitude, seclusion, isolation, one's fears. It could be things which the person strongly sacrificed. It could be matters with the paranormal, if you do believe that, matters with spirituality. It could be dancing, poetry, doing something, isolation, boating, fishing, as some examples, matters, activities with an aunt or an uncle, or the less fortunate, or people that had been imprisoned or incarcerated. Now, the moon in astrology is also associated with nurturing and caring. So this may be someone that often nurtures and cares for, about their private life, more so than most people on average. It matters with spirituality, meditation, being able to relax and be, and having their rest, their sleep when they need it. It could be caring for one's dreams, and that it could be, when I say that, elaborate on that, being able to, care about them enough, maybe to make them come to fruition, and things. And it could also be nurturing and caring for an aunt, an uncle, or the less fortunate, again, which can include the homeless, the impoverished, the hungry. Some examples. I'm caring for people that may be imprisoned or incarcerated as some examples. Anyway, people, that will conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.